Well, good afternoon as we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, January 4th, year 2024, here at the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty and the many people that were on his side aiding and bringing to life the vision that they all shared. And as they succeeded, and as of course being acknowledged by all of you out there of the importance of public access, we are where we are today. So of course, not to fail to mention the efforts on the behalf of those who accompanied Fraser Dougherty and Francis Ann, and then again, all of you out there that make it your business to enhance and fortify the concept of public access. So sometimes I feel very like repeating myself. It's maybe it sounds too automatic or something. I don't know, but I always end up getting into uh, a zone of a specific expression in a certain way that you find yourself compatible with something new that's lingering, trying to come to life. And when I sit here, especially doing it for so long and really realizing what is uh, uh, the attempt to successfully adapt certain things that come your way in life. Whichever uh, subject matter your life is engaged in, or um, a reality that is joining forces with the new particles that uh, gently collide in midair and join the normalcy of this particular way of traveling. So the awkwardness, um, the awkwardness and the uh, placement of reason, the mathematics of of the attempt to describe a matter of fact, a place to land safely, and then pick up and go. And on the go, you can't even say you meet all the events that are coming you in, becoming a part of your. I mean, from the past, i.e., from the future into the present, towards the future by way of reminiscence of the past. So anyway, the mathematics really has been aided in this case by a philosophy that you want to believe. Well, you better, because if you're part of this process, you must accept upon yourself some portion of vagueness that accumulates and still nevertheless presents a clean cut appearance, one dimensional, kind of interesting enough, almost like one dimensional, three dimensional, one dimensional, one dimensional. So yeah, so um, the level of comfort when you give in to the fact that one dimensional will be serving as the totality of the options, or at least the majority, more like it. And that kind of gives you a sense that you actually think it's extremely important, and then you enter a zone where that extremely important stuff is common practice. It's daily routine. So, but your excitement doesn't dissipate when you enter when you first peep out, and that makes it entering into a place and a time that is not necessarily so familiar. And even though you have a lot of experience behind you, you landed, you took off, you you dig deep, you construct and erect and visualize and execute and and put in place, a platform for people to feel safe when they now and then need a place of rest for a minute or two, and then they find themselves actually um, surprisingly feeling good. And when they give themselves the opportunity to become a part of it, that whatever that which is vague, and then when they do that, suddenly they realize that there's like a clarity, a sudden clarity. Suddenly you can read the writings, you can see the sights, and you indulge in the fact that finally there's some kind of um, a payment that is materializing, that being actualized, and you like have more of a spending power, a little more of the spending power, and then you the timing is incredible, and then you not only you manage to purchase, to own things that are important and rare, and that was measured um, compared to the sweat, how much sweat took place to produce that spending power money. It's an amazing atmosphere that you're somewhat aware, suddenly or not, that you have a lot to do with what you're just observing and watching. So it's like a huge screening, and the attendance is incredible. And who's not there? Everyone is there, and then the screen opens, and there's a portrayal of whatever that may be. But you realize, no matter what it is, no matter what this is, it's still partly mine, partly due to my engagement, partly due to my um, I don't know, whatever, wittiness, uniqueness, technical ability, extreme vigor, or and also just like kind of tai chi like reality that as you're actualizing this this thing, it also offers you a window to other things. Then suddenly you're introduced to other windows, what's outside those windows, and you understand it with the tools that you have inside the windows. That's a big deal, you're learning this, going. There's no one language that you master, or a couple of them, and then you're okay. You're not okay. You go forward, back. You're in motion. The languages will change. So sharpening your skills as far as intuition, that comes handy immediately. You look at the person and say, I know his language. I don't understand his language, but I know his language. So that means extreme understanding in saying, I know, yet you can't really speak it, for example. But then you realize all this fluctuation of going really up, above, and down, under, and you're like there witnessing that movement of whatever it is that goes up and down, and you're like starting to feel good about yourself because you're a spectator. You can also shut it off or just block it from your vision, and you think of that aspect of the what you have to offer is thoughtful and sweet and hey and considerate and selfless, generous by being selfless and selfless by being generous. And there's something good going there. Nobody stops the vehicle in order to declare that someone has given something, or that someone needs to get the proper respect because something incredible was given, was donated, was you know the the machine never stopped when it was more natural. It never paused or something. It was obvious. It was so embedded within that local obviousness that nobody thought that it's an issue. There are other issues that you would guard your energy from, because you want to conserve it. And these were more like personal, semi uh, self and parallel to self kind of thing. So very basic stuff that in relationship to your knowledge at that particular time and being a part of the time is a no-brainer, and for the outsider is a complete mystery. So when eventually you will turn and the canvas is there, and if you're lucky enough, because in my reality, if I'm somewhere, probably well, if I'm not in my studio, I'm very close to my studio. And I have a feeling. Yes. So um when when I'm near that space or inside that space, it's still the same. I will see a canvas if I turn my head. If I turn my head in order to welcome something that I'm not so aware of what it is, and I'm going to turn, and I'm going to find out, and it will be a canvas. Most people that I know would have to, in order for this probability to exist in their lives, they would have to go out there and buy an easel and a canvas, or at least a couple of them, and put it somewhere in their living quarters. That, for the most part, every time you'll turn, you'll see the canvas. Um, they will need to go and purchase it and bring it and place it and position it and own it and everything. But I come from a world where this is the fabric again, the collage, not yet born, but in good hands, in the process of yet to be erected, created, whatever. Even though it's not created yet, it has the surety that this might as well consider it as a done deal. So you this is the only place in the world where you can frown but still feel completely relaxed. I mean, your forehead is, and your whole being becomes frowned, because it's a mixture of consideration and thoughtfulness and mindfulness and compassion, passion, understanding. Um, the world is going across, and you are able to isolate and identify and understand and say, yeah, yes. And then you activate that which human beings can, if they decide to be just simply nice and kind of, and envision this production of good energy that fast in abundance, because that's how fast it will go away, from you, towards wherever it might be ending up, that it will be landing in the hands of those who are really needy of it. And it's guaranteeing us more joie de vivre on behalf of the people that don't even know of the existence of this uh, thing called joie de vivre. That is, the joy and then life. The joy of life. And then also, if you think about philosophy, the love of wisdom. I know, for me, it feels like the most perfect name. But yet, in the same token, it's just like uh, the uh, the love of wisdom. So it's almost like you're telling the world, "Hey, listen, I can't go wrong. I'm, I, I got it under control. I got enough for the next 12 decades, whatever. Long after I'm gone, this is going to outlast me." Which is an okay thing to think and to believe, and maybe that's the case. I think it's easy if you're committed to the process of creativity and art. You committed. I mean, you'll know if you're committed because once you'll be in the midst of engagements with energies and just stuff all the way from social through spiritual and 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 so much more. The variety of it is incredible. And you coming to terms with yourself because there are millions like you. There are. Think whatever there are 8 billion people out there. I mean, you must agree that at least at least mm, 1 billion are artists. Well, it's just the 500 million artists around the world that you can really say, you know what, it's boiling. As we know, not everyone gets the chance to be acknowledged and rise as the society defines it. But still, nothing prevented them from creating. How many people out there in the world have full body of work ready to go, like not necessarily the greatest things in the world or the most out of this world paintings, but still nevertheless paintings, still nevertheless an attitude that materializes itself by way of saying, well, at least I know halfway through this discussion I can stop you and tell you what, but wait, let me show you. I brought about two dozen items here that I worked on meticulously, and I put some time and thought and everything. And then you already know you have more than people are willing to examine, even if it's good. So that means even if it's the optimal situation, the most out of this world timing of everything happening, uh, still you maybe suddenly starting to get to know yourself in a way that you feel that is a good way because you never felt like this before, but now it's like it's giving you enough indications that hey, don't be too shy to come and 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 understand the benefits that you got. It's due to your work. That you worked hard. You did okay. Now you have 20 paintings. Just as a by the way thing, just in case I need to give an example or say, well, I have something to show for, even though it sounds cliche or it sounds too many yucky things and a few important things, but maybe it's not. Because when I showed my first exhibition in 1997, yeah, it was a solo exhibition, and I thought I was so exposed to potential uh, disregard and abuse from the world, you know, and it can be from friends, it can be from the best crowd in the world. I thought they're gonna come and wash me with their curiosity for the sake of curiosity, and also repeating themselves, like how did a lot of people suddenly realize that are coming to me. It's not about you. It's good, no good. You know how it is with art exhibitions. You know, people approach the artists and there's some semi discussions and this and that. It's all handled in a way that everyone expects and all this. but here's like, how did you how did you, like literally. um so people will face you suddenly and say, wow, this is impressive. um when did you have the time to do it? So now they're telling you something that comes from a good source, but it sounds almost like they're doubting that you actually did the work, because there's no way. They know, oh, you're busy, you're this, you have to work for a living, this, that. So where did that come from? Well, you know what? It takes respect to gain access to knowledge and to privilege. It's as simple as that. And not there's no shame in respecting. You know, I sometimes when I bring people to where that immediate zone where I create, the poor people, they're not accustomed to what's. I know that in the center of each section where I work, there's some stuff. Energies are vivid there. They're active there. The average person, they will feel the vibrations. So rightfully so, because you're talking about an accumulations of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of work, creative work, with thoughts, with plans, with usually doing well, usually not making mistakes, usually, but always beginning, middle, and end. Always that cliche aspect of um, checking out that you're actually okay, doing okay, even though everything seems to be working just fine. But just for the heck of it, you want to kind of check in on yourself. I think he's doing good. I can hear him, and I listened for like 1 minute, and I don't even know what the friggin' heck he's talking about. But it sounds very, very accommodating, very like someone who knows what he's talking about by talking about just about nothing and everything. So the two things that come out of this studio, there's a declaration that actually has a mind and a life of its own. It will exit your studio, your zone of creation, and will travel wherever it will travel to deliver that atmosphere, that reality out of your hands. And then there's the telling, the sharing that comes from you, the artist. You want to tell, you want to share. And um, and you teach yourself to feel comfortable telling people, I don't think so. I don't think it's a good idea. Now is not a good time. So, so you'd be surprised how difficult it is regarding and concerning anything. That doesn't matter what's the subject matter. It's just things that happen, and you need to say, I think it's not a good time for you to come to the place where I work now because your desire is whatever it is, but a no go. So, and maybe some other time. Okay, how about that? So, but you're not lazy ever, or have second thoughts about bringing 20 pieces to an ordinary interview. And I'm saying interview because whatever. And ordinary exposure, self-exposing. Like ordinary. Just suddenly you decide to expose yourself and show, let the world see who you really are. I mean, even if it's for a short while, but now and then you give the system enough time to catch you completely not at your disposal, and therefore the world is indulging. Then you gotta gather as many metaphors as you can, because it's never too much. And I have them in abundance. Metaphors, man. My middle name is Metaphor. I understand the example that I will never busy myself to express it from beginning to end in one breath. It's more like a background music, like we're hearing now in the studio there. That is just kind of giving you um, a sturdy foundation, and also making you aware that they understand how important it is. Whatever, you know. So I needed, when I started that kind of I got you covered, i.e., I will be paying attention to you for at least the next, let's say, year, because it's so crucial for you. And who's saying that? Doesn't matter. Where is it coming from? Doesn't matter. What's the nature of this sudden desire to help you? Someone is willing to help you. Let's just say, imagine, think, and that person will be there for you for a year and say, I understand your talent, I understand your capability, I understand your desires, I understand the commitment that is non wavering and unquestionable and without any doubt. And so I'm there. I'm there. And you might never use me, but at least you know I'm there. And that's exactly how I got into this, a part of the, how I was granted, but in a way that I really failed to understand really what's going on, and I kind of stole it and unknowingly. Eh, but then in the second time around, I came knowing better, and suddenly I realized how many mistakes I did the first time around. So I'm just like keeping a straight face. Very important to keep a straight face. It's almost like you check your lottery ticket in that machine, and then you win $1 million, and you're like, you don't want to look right in the you want to just say, shoot, not again, no winner, and you put it in your pocket. Yeah, it's uh, a fantastic. And again, I had mentors in my life that I knew how powerful they were, and I know how lucky I am. But not only because they're powerful, mainly because they're willing. Mainly, I remember Alan Plants that introduced me to Canio's books. It was in the 1993, and when he arranged my first reading there, it was like I really cannot believe it. This is like, wow, okay, almost like starting to say to myself, what does he see in me? Downing myself, not really being dumbfounded, not being able to accept all this goodness that the world is throwing at you. But quickly enough, I realized it, but not before. It was he was introducing me, and he said, Haim Mizrahi and this about, and he started talking about poetry. What is it to expect from me by way of my poetry? And I said, I can't believe he's talking about me. And so I began to extremely attentively listening to this short introduction, and it changed my reading. I went up there and I said, he's right. Why is he right? It's because I really wrote these poems. I have them ready. Let's say you have a dozen poems you're going to read now for 20 minutes or something, or half an hour. It's the world all together combined in your favor. And it should be the most pleasing. It doesn't matter how the reading went or not. The most pleasing moments that you will ever witness. And you will always want it because it's the epitome of communication, exposing yourself every time all over again in order to give you that, like the greatest drummer, CJ Thompson, wonderful drummer, especially 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when he first burst out of the wonderful musical bands of the churches across America. The drummers, the new age drummer, came out of these bands that used to, in such a dedicated fashion, play for the church, and they were extremely out of this world, progressive, talented, and CJ Thompson was one of them. So just like CJ Thompson had 5 million followers and he was only like 22 or something. And he used to record in order to send to YouTube. And I remember he used to do inhuman things on the drums. It was unbelievable. It was the most pleasurable sight to see. And then, and then, and then he realized that he needs to give a little more, like a little more. 5 million followers. It cannot disappoint them. So he was just, every time you thought he's giving something phenomenally phenomenal, he's doing it all over again. So I somebody introduces you, and then they say, this man is introducing me. It's like fiction, but remember, it is about you. The introduction is the introduction that's actually introducing all of you out there. Because the fact that you don't write poetry, it doesn't mean that you have plenty of them under your belt. That is a given. And that moment of truth will be expected to be saturated with kindness. No other option. Even the option knows that there's no other option. There's just one option, and it's the longest, most soft and straightforward and clear and porous and shaking and challenging and rewarding journey you can ever take in your life. And I don't know, you're smart enough to be able to gather a little bit of it, which is a lot. So that little bit of it can be creating, 100 paintings, taking a year and doing 100 and trying very hard not to make it 150. And the obsession would be 30 years ago, then I'm actually obsessed with numbers. So quality, quantity. So suddenly quantity becomes meaningful because it's not a diluted version of progress, because it was 100 that was created instead of 20, because you have to come to terms with what reality dictates to you, especially if you're a professional and you come to observe. You look at certain things and you say, there's no way I cannot tell the truth here. There's just no way. Why? Because you know for sure that this is just too obvious that it's good for me to say that it's not. And everyone will notice it and will know it. And also they'll think I'm a jerk or something, or I'm not, I don't know what it takes. So just by way of knowing that the whole world will understand and identify and know, and also you'll be the only one left. Like, what were you thinking? Yes, what were you thinking? So even these forces that you are going to have to reckon with, and they have to reckon with you, and all this are approaching this methodically. Like, listen, it's just going like this. Obviously, in second time around, something is going to catch me there, or the third time around. But at some point, I'm going to have to be like saying, okay, so, well, maybe you don't deserve it. Go to the left. Uh, and then you never catch up with me because you're going the long way. And then, oh my God. But then there's the process of remorse and whatnot. But in a progressive era, there's no such emotional thing as remorse. No, there's just like feeling weird about something. That's remorse. But still, I realize that when I watch an incredible gifted artist, in this case it was a musician, a drummer, CJ Thompson, and many others that are just incredible. Of course, I'm just giving that. He was the one that one of the first in the last 2 decades that just pushed it and somehow took that existing knowledge and added only an attitude that changed the approach, technically speaking, and suddenly it's almost like reshuffling the deck, and because you just took it at face value, suddenly you had the ability to play this music, meaning you had the ability to not only have the like really geeky, weirdy composition, just the shape of it, but actually the actual playing of this awkward shapeness. So he was the one that was able to play because, technically speaking, he was an incredible drummer. Spiritually speaking, he had the durability of an angel. And mentally speaking, he had the toughest psyche that was so friggin' devoted that he could play 7 to 17 hours on the drum set without really feeling like there's any obsession taking place. It's that message of importance that that tells you, well, this is my way of thanking the world, maybe. Adding, contributing to the world, making young generations happy, and showing them without overwhelming them. Because the playing alone is the tool and the result and the fruits of your creativity that will aid them, guide them, elevate them, and whatnot. So many things. So that in itself is a point of. I just need to see where I stand. And for this, I need my glasses. So this is an opportunity to mention that. Yeah. Okay. So is that it? Okay. 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 Very good. Um. Okay. Yeah, it's like I almost want to say, well, and the conclusion is that you stand to benefit from a disproportional hard work, giving birth to ideas, to planning, to initiating, to first steps, early steps, building stages, erecting a wonderful composition that is going sideways wide and upwards high. And it just represents also a very balanced demeanor that really that is crucial and needy. That we have something to be said about that, and about the fact that we uh, want to contribute to the effort that for the sake of this effort. And that effort is really, I don't even have to describe effort as far as what is concerned. Effort, period. And have effort to live, effort to function, effort to understand, effort to work, effort to raise families, effort to get married, effort to be a person. So that is somewhat sacred, somewhat like that's one thing I don't mess with. It's almost like you really, even though you think you pay high rent, you just want to do everything you can in order to be able to pay the rent with all the pain that it involves. But you pay the rent, you do it. That's exactly like as if you struggle to pay the rent. The effort, put effort in place. So I realize this is the nature of the world. What is the nature of the world? Apropos that, is that when I am in my studio, me, myself, and I, just like another 40 to 400 million of them around the world. Believe you me, there are that many artists out there, good artists, hardworking artists. So this is a universal declaration, statement, saying, sentence, whatever. That I didn't need to go to all those places on the globe to understand. I'm here. It's enough. So there There is the moments of you, yourself, and you, me, myself, and I. Like me, myself, and I thought it was a joke once, but it's not a joke at all. There's there's the artist that's sizing his immediate space of creativity, of creation, of understanding the world in a specific way according to his understanding of how one should understand the world and how involved one should be in order for that to aid for that to be uh, achieved. And so the weakness of that early moment of early stages, really, I felt like weakness that had nothing to do with my body. It had something to do with the exterior that happened to be extremely close to me, but still not a part of me. It was so overwhelming because it just almost covered my vision. It was so close. Um, and then I realized that this intimidation cannot take place if you build a whole neighborhood of of powerhouse that you take that supposedly almost borderline insane, impossible scenario that one can really create so much that happens to be meaningful, so much meaningful. So at first it's a lot of drama, and a lot of figuring out, a lot of being obvious, maybe transparent, until you get better and better and better, and you realize that it's um, that you're falling in love with the fact that you have so much control over the process and the situation. So I remember many shows at Ashwa Hall that I did was a sense of mission. I was like on a mission. It was like on a mission, even if much did not happen, even if it wasn't evident. A lot of times it was evident. I overwhelmed the walls and I came from all directions or whatever. But there was something that happens to you as an artist. So suddenly Ashwa Hall, the gallery itself, became my studio, and I had to transfer all the feelings and sensations in order to make it as accurate as I can. And much of it unknowingly actually took place. Um, and I remember to a show that I cannot show more than 30 paintings, I brought 170, 80 paintings. I didn't hang 70 or 80 paintings, but I brought it there nevertheless. And I had moments or a couple of days before any opening or anything. It's just like it was like unbelievable. I had to prove to myself that there's a way that I can implement it and I have like a quiet time for myself in a meaningful place where I actualize my compositions and my ability to put things together, and I do it and I look at it and I said, okay, I know it's doable. And then I sober up, I come to my senses, I go back to the original composition that is already preconceived, and uh, with incredible discipline start dividing the paintings. This goes here to Ashwa Hall, this goes to the van, back to the studio. And there is an incredible a level of agility, but agility soaked uh, with understanding. It's just like a human being understand. This is Mother Nature. This is all the things that are the material and the soul and the flesh, and everything gives just a little bit in order to create some kind of hope, togetherness that they say, yeah, everything makes sense. Looks good, looks this, okay, it's good. Um, and then you realize you cannot stop. There's no such thing, because for a while it was 10 years at least. You create for your next show. You create for, and then some, but this, I have this, I need this, I need that. Like you create. There's always that. And how many shows are you going to have a year? Even if you're as prolific as I am, let's just say, whatever, 3, 4 shows. What is it? It's 12 months. You can show 20 times if you wanted to, if you could, but and then suddenly you realize you can you simply cannot stop. Now it dawns on you, and you realize, maybe I'm not so sure how much I like it, but then of course you come back, you come to your senses again, and say, why don't you just keep your mouth shut? Because this is once in a lifetime. How do I claim ownership on this? How do I create a situation where I don't have to use that? I will use it. It will be active 90% of the time, but 10% I need to myself at some point. And then I managed to bring it to life. I managed to bring it to an understanding. Don't I know it sounds weird, but you realize you're looking right, left, all the directions, whatever, basic, everything looks good. And guess what? The most important thing in this whole, whatever it is that I'm kind of talking about, knowingly and unknowingly, can be backed because you're the kind of person that never stops working. But you're talking about, when you say never, that means all the time. And you happen to be a good creator, a good, meaningful, worthy artist, painter, drummer, this, that, pianist, whatever. Something about you, about that, about it. And so very few people, if at all any, would bother themselves to, I don't know, confront you, because the reality that you're creating, backed by so much body of work, meaningful, multiple meanings, that. So now here, this moment doesn't come with a price to be paid. That means you have to be mean to people. It doesn't exist. These things don't exist, because let's just say in the last 3 months I created about 17 to 22 paintings of a new style that I embarked on, and all this. I want to feel the excitement. That means I'm in a stage where I don't just sit around and just say, but of course I did that. Yeah, I know I did because I can, because it doesn't exist. I'm excited because this is the way you want to radiate to the world, of the kind of energy that you carry with you. And if you were to feel and think and operate this way, how is it that the world actually really, really, really benefit from it? Really, 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 really benefiting from it. And there are 100, 200, 300, 400 million artists across the world like you, that really, 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 as I said. So the and also that which is becoming available to you there. It's like, if you ignore it, and if you ignore, even if you just don't attend to it fast enough and frequently enough, it's not going to be a pretty sight. So you realize that it is forming outside of you. You have to materialize it and somehow find a way to get that special transport, and bring it in so you can use it. And so I feel like I can never really find myself up to no good, because I always in a position to check myself without being obsessed, or without thinking like, now I'm going to check myself. Just you look right, you look left, you see, you understand. Suddenly the three-dimensional composition is changing, because there's added things here, more things there. There's less light, more light, more this. colors. The dark go here, lighter, and with the darkness come here, back and forth, and this wonderful. It's all wonderful, So, and then you have the time to think of where is it going? Where's it going? The journey back to you and the journey that it is embarking on out to the world. And it's a good feeling. And if you think about it, the public access agrees with you and agrees with the importance of that being a part of your life, that your community, the people telling you this is a part of what we mean, that you can practice it, that you can, and you don't have to have an incredible message in order to justify expression. Any message, any kind of message, So it's so with art, you're guaranteed things are happening all the time. Information is coming out all the time. The question is, are you ready to receive? And even if you're not going to receive, once I release, there's no way that it's allowed to come back. It's gone. It needs to go because there's no telling what the future will give birth to. And we hope only nothing but good things. And of course, there's a lot to hope for goodness that is definitely existing, and we all know about it. And then, of course, friction and this and that. Yeah, of course, always. So surviving the moment, the immediacy of that, which is kind of introducing itself to you, making itself available to you, and say, well, what's up? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Or what's go? What's up? Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's just like seeing Return to Forever with Joe Zawinul in 1978 in Jerusalem, with the greatest drummer then was Omar Hakim. It was just friggin' mind blowing. Mind blowing. Unbelievable. So moments like this, how can you forget? How can you forget? I mean, I can be the saddest possible. I can think of Return to Forever, that band with incredible skilled musicians, progressive fusion, jazz rock at its best already 40, 45 years ago. Incredible. Anyway, I uh, I think that I'm gonna thank you for listening to me. I don't even let's not. Um, this Saturday, January 6th, between 4 and 6:30 here at LTV, we have the opening with Josh Dayton, Steve Lotion, and myself. And of course, you're all invited. It's in Wainscott on 75 Industrial Road, and it's literally parallel to the runway of East Hampton Airport. So please come, make it your business. It's going to be, the art is perfect. It's really beautiful. And we had a nice ride out at the East Hampton Star. Really, Josh Dayton is wonderful, wonderful artist. Steve Lotion, my mentor and my friend, and just a powerful painter, powerful and sculptor. And myself, I do, and we do, and we hope to see you. And I just wanted to finish with just the request. If you remember yesterday, it was all about the request that that you just suddenly turn and say, well, when am I? When am I? Uh, when am I going to be okay? So that's uh, oh yes. So this is going to be like this. Oh boy, really? Uh-huh. So this is the yeah. Okay, I'm going to do this. It's worth the okay. Uh, uh, I'm okay. So let's see. So I don't know if I have time. Yeah, we got a few minutes. So just to mention, January 4th, Thursday afternoon, here with the Hello Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi. We're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday and as much as we're here again this afternoon. Thursday afternoon, January 4th, year 2024. And this Saturday, January 6th, from 4 to 6:30 at LTV, the opening with Josh Dayton, Steve Lotion, and myself, Haim Mizrahi. So this is the asking and revolving revolving around the extreme reaction, sipping on the sweat of others, learning to hold tight when the swamp rises to catch the next victim. A wet scenario breathing a wet scenario breathing fumes of rot and mildew, missing in action, squinting for prying purposes, solving problems partially, but the grip has a mind of its own, refusing to consider reasons, and you're caught in the middle, in the center of the dominance. Only a shine from an available crack can pull you out of the role of disappearance. And lucky for you, hand is stretched forward to accept the gestures by the crowd, whom never forget. In this case, your shining light extends beyond the vagueness of the moment. It stands for you as a testimony of survival and longevity. Worry not, worry not. You, a poetic soul that you are, worry not. The crowd is ready to lift you through the hurdles of your next mission. You can keep that smile of yours and soft demeanor for the next lucky bunch to benefit from the rarity of your extravagant goodness. Anyway, again, thank you for your patience, and we'll see you soon. And hopefully this Saturday we'll see you. Have a good night.